They said time heals everything. But 20 years later, I'm still waiting. I lost my baby before I ever heard him cry. Held him once, cold, still, silent. And then they took him away. His name was Noah. I buried him. I mourned him. I tried to move on. Until last night. At 2:46 a.m., my phone buzzed. A single notification lighting up the dark. A friend request. From Noah Holt. His tiny gravestone bore the same name. And before I could even breathe, a message appeared. Mom, I think I found you. My hands went numb because I buried him. I know I did. So who or what just found me online? I didn't sleep after that notification. How could I? The glow of my phone still burned behind my eyes, even after I turned it face down on the nightstand. The house was silent except for the low hum of the refrigerator down the hall and my own pulse pounding in my ears. A friend request. From Noah Holt, the baby I buried 20 years ago. At first, I tried to convince myself it was some cruel coincidence. Someone with the same name, maybe a bot. But my hands wouldn't stop shaking as I unlocked the phone again. The profile photo stared back at me. A young man standing in the woods, sunlight cutting across his face. He couldn't have been more than 20. The same shade of brown eyes as mine, the same tiny scar on the left eyebrow that my doctor told me he had at birth. A faint line from a difficult delivery. And below the photo, his hometown was listed as Ashford, Oregon. My hometown? I whispered, no. My voice sounded foreign, dry, cracked. Curiosity overpowered fear. I tapped the message icon. Noah Holt. Mom, I think I found you. I stared for so long the screen dimmed. My thumb hovered above the keyboard, but I couldn't type. What do you even say to that? Who is this? How dare you? Where did you get that name? But before I could decide, another message appeared. Do you still live near the forest? The one with the cliffs? I dream about it sometimes. My throat closed. The forest near the cliffs. That's where I used to walk when I was pregnant, when the world felt too heavy to carry. I told no one about those walks, not even Evan. The sound of rain started tapping against the window, soft at first, then heavier. I pulled my robe tighter around me. Every part of me screamed to delete the account, to shut down the phone. But my heart, the part that never healed, whispered something else. What if? I typed. Who are you? Why are you using that name? The typing dots appeared, then disappeared, then appeared again. I don't know. I just know your name feels safe. I see you sometimes, reading by the window. You keep my blanket in a box. I dropped the phone, literally dropped it. It hit the carpet with a dull thud. No one, absolutely no one, knew about that box. The small wooden one beside my bed, holding a faded blue baby blanket, a hospital bracelet, and a Polaroid of me holding him for the first and last time. I snatched up the phone, heart hammering. Who told you that? No reply, just silence. The dots blinked again. You did. I swallowed hard. The rain outside grew violent, lashing against the glass like something was trying to get in. My reflection in the window looked pale and older than I remembered. I turned off the phone, placed it face down again, and sat there for hours. At 5:12 a.m., the world finally began to lighten. I made coffee with trembling hands, staring at the steam curling upward. Maybe it was some elaborate scam. Maybe someone hacked old hospital records. I clung to any rational thought that could drown out the truth pressing against my ribs. Still, I couldn't stay silent. By noon, I called Evan. He didn't answer the first time, or the second. Finally, his voice came through, distant, tired. Marina, it's been a while. I know, I just need to ask you something strange. You sound awful. What's wrong? Do you still have the birth certificate? The one with Noah's name. There was a pause, then a sigh. Marina, what is this about? Please, just tell me you still have it. Yeah, I kept it in a box with the photos. Why? My breath shuddered. Someone used his name online. They sent me a friend request. He laughed under his breath, sharp, nervous. A scam, obviously. Don't tell me you're falling for that. Evan, they knew things, private things, about his blanket. The silence on his end lasted too long. Marina, he finally said, voice low. I'll come by tonight. Don't answer anything else. Don't reply to any message. Before I could answer, the call cut off. I set the phone down again, staring at the black screen. For a moment, I saw my own reflection. And behind me, I could have sworn there was movement in the hallway. A flicker, a shadow. I turned sharply. Nothing, just the soft hum of the refrigerator again. I shook my head. You're tired, Marina. You're imagining things. But when I looked back at the phone, it wasn't black anymore. A new notification glowed at the top. Noah Holt sent you a video. I didn't click it, not yet. My finger hovered above the screen, trembling. Something inside me whispered, once you open that, nothing will ever be the same. And for the first time in 20 years, I felt something I thought I'd buried with my son. Hope. When I finally pressed play, the screen stayed black for 3 seconds. Then a faint light appeared, flickering, unsteady like the glow from a single candle. The camera shook slightly, and for a moment I thought it was just static. Then a voice whispered my name. Mom. I froze. The voice was soft, uncertain, but real. It wasn't mechanical. It wasn't a recording. It sounded like someone breathing close to the microphone, scared to speak too loudly. Mom, can you hear me? My pulse hammered in my ears. The room around me seemed to shrink until all that existed was the tiny, moving image on my phone. The camera turned slowly, showing a wall covered in pale blue paint. A small mobile with stars hung above what looked like a crib. The same mobile I had bought 20 years ago with tiny gold moons that used to spin when the wind blew through the nursery window. I whispered, Noah. The video glitched, and the voice came again, clearer this time. I can't see much. It's cold, but I keep hearing water, and there's light above me. Are you near the water, Mom? I gripped the phone until my knuckles went white. Behind the trembling voice, I could hear dripping, faint and rhythmic, like drops falling on metal. And then something else, a sound that didn't belong in any recording, breathing, deep, heavy breathing that wasn't his. The screen flashed white for a second, and when the image returned, the camera was pointing at the floor. Something dark moved across the bottom corner, something like a shadow dragging itself closer. The video cut out. I sat completely still. The air in my chest refused to move. Then the phone buzzed again with a new message. Mom, don't come near the water tonight. The message faded, then vanished. I tried to scroll back, but it was gone, deleted from the thread as if it had never existed. My first instinct was to call Evan. He picked up on the first ring. Did you open it? He asked. I swallowed hard. Yes, it was him. At least, it sounded like him. Marina, I'm already on my way. Don't go anywhere. Don't answer again. Before I could reply, the line filled with static, then silence. The call dropped. Outside, thunder cracked over the valley. The lights flickered. I looked out the window. Heavy rain blurred everything into silver streaks. For a moment, I thought I saw someone standing by the mailbox, a tall figure still facing the house. Then lightning flashed and the space was empty. I backed away from the glass, heart racing. My phone buzzed again, not a message, an incoming video call. The caller ID read, Noah Holt. I stared at it, frozen. My thumb hovered above the green icon, trembling. The call rang once, twice, 3 times, and then stopped. A new text appeared. Please don't let him in. I whispered the words aloud, confused. Don't let who in? A knock echoed through the house. 3 slow, deliberate knocks on the front door. I stood there, in the dark, phone clutched to my chest, listening as the knocking came again, louder this time, urgent. My mind raced between logic and terror. Maybe it was Evan. Maybe he'd arrived. But deep down, something told me
The rain
it
kept
wasn't
pounding
him. The windows. The knocks stopped. For a moment, there was only silence. Then my phone vibrated again. Mom, he's not me. The message blurred as my hands began to shake. I turned toward the door, the faint outline of a figure visible through the frosted glass. Tall, broad-shouldered, dripping wet. A shadow moved under the porch light, reaching for the handle. I whispered, Evan. No answer. The handle began to turn, and the power went out. Darkness swallowed the house, absolute and heavy. Only the faint blue glow from my phone remained, lighting my face. Another message appeared on the screen. Run. The word run kept flashing on my screen again and again like a heartbeat. I couldn't move. My mind screamed at me to run, but my body refused to listen. The handle of the door stopped turning. Silence filled every corner of the house. Then, slowly, the shadow stepped back from the glass. I stood frozen, listening as heavy footsteps faded into the rain. I stayed there for almost a full minute before forcing myself to breathe. My fingers fumbled for a candle on the shelf, and when I lit it, the tiny flame threw trembling shadows across the walls. The phone buzzed once more. A new message. He's gone for now, but he'll come back when the light dies again. I whispered into the dark. Who are you? There was no reply. I grabbed my coat and car keys, heart still racing. If this was a cruel prank, it had gone too far. I needed to get out and find someone. Anyone. The storm outside roared, the wind pushing against the front door as if the night itself was trying to get in. When I stepped outside, the rain soaked me instantly. My car sat under the flickering streetlight, and for a moment I thought I saw someone sitting inside. But when I reached it, the seat was empty. Only a faint, wet footprint marked the passenger side floor. I climbed in, slammed the door, and started the engine. The radio crackled to life on its own. No music, just static and a low whisper. I turned the dial, but the whisper only grew clearer. Marina. My name, said in that same voice. I ripped the plug from the outlet and pressed my palms over my ears, but the voice kept whispering, soft, steady, and right beside me. Don't drive, he's on the road. The phone vibrated again on the passenger seat. A message from Noah's account. Go back inside, trust me. I didn't know what to believe anymore. But the storm was getting worse, and every instinct in me screamed that something was wrong outside. I turned the car off and ran back toward the house, slamming the door behind me. The candle had gone out. The air smelled faintly of smoke and salt water. I could hear the dripping sound again, the same rhythm from the video. It was coming from the hallway. I followed the sound, one slow step at a time, the floorboards creaking under my bare feet. At the end of the hall, my bedroom door was open. The box that held Noah's things sat on the bed. Open. I hadn't touched it in years. Inside, the blue baby blanket was damp, as if it had been pulled from water. The hospital bracelet glistened with moisture, and tucked underneath was something new, a folded photograph. I unfolded it with trembling hands. It was a picture of me, standing in front of the old cliffs by the sea. But the picture wasn't old. I was wearing the same robe I have on right now. And standing behind me, Just out of focus was a tall shadow. The phone buzzed again. He's near the cliffs. Don't go there. Tears blurred my vision. Noah, what is happening? He's not what he looks like. He wants me back. The lights flickered once, twice, then steadied. Somewhere outside, a car door slammed. I rushed to the window, heart in my throat. Evan's car. He was here. I ran to the door, threw it open, and there he was, soaked, shaking, eyes wide. "Marina, thank God you're okay," he said. "The road's flooded. We have to leave now." But as he stepped inside, something about him felt wrong. His voice was flat, his smile forced. The smell of the sea clung to him, strong, heavy, out of place. "Evan," I whispered, "how did you know the road was flooded?" He stared at me, expression blank. "Because I was already there," he said softly. Then he smiled, too wide, too still, and his eyes flickered, just for a second, with a pale, unnatural light. My phone buzzed in my pocket. A new message. "Mom, that's not him." I froze where I stood. The man in front of me looked exactly like Evan, down to the small scar near his temple and the same brown jacket he used to wear on rainy nights. But his eyes, they weren't his. They didn't blink. He stepped closer, water dripping from his sleeves, leaving small dark spots on the floor. "Marina," he said quietly, "we have to go, now." The phone vibrated again in my hand. I looked down. "Mom, don't touch him. He's cold because he's not real." I stumbled back, shaking my head. "Evan, where's your car? Where did you come from?" He didn't answer right away. His smile stayed fixed, stretched too tight. Then he said, "You called me, remember?" "No," I whispered. "You called me." His face twitched like static flickering across a screen. For a moment his eyes turned black, then back to brown. I took another step back. "You're not him." He tilted his head. "But I could be." The lights flickered again, buzzing like dying insects. The air grew heavy, thick with the smell of salt and something rotten. He reached for me, his skin wet and cold as ice. I screamed and ran into the kitchen, slamming the door behind me. He knocked once, twice. Then his voice came through the wood, distorted and low. "You wanted him back, Marina. You called for him. And I came." The phone buzzed again. The screen bright in the dark. "Mom, the mirror. Look at the mirror." I turned slowly toward the hallway mirror hanging by the pantry door. My reflection stood there, shaking, pale, but behind me I saw him, the fake Evan, only now his face was changing, melting into something else. The skin shimmered like water. Beneath it, I saw Noah's face, my son. I gasped, tears streaming down my cheeks. "No, stop, please." "You wanted to see him," the voice said from behind the door. "You wanted him home." The mirror fogged as if someone had breathed against the glass. Words appeared, drawn by an unseen hand. "He's trapped. He needs light." I grabbed the flashlight from the drawer and shone it toward the mirror. For a second, everything went still. Then the reflection rippled, and a new image appeared. Noah, standing in the same dark blue nursery from the video, reaching out through the screen toward me. "Mom," his voice whispered, faint but clear. "He's using my voice. He's trying to come through. Don't believe what you see." Behind him, the walls in the reflection cracked like glass, darkness seeping through the fractures. "I can't hold him back much longer," Noah said. "The more you answer, the stronger he gets." I stared at my own trembling reflection. "What do I do?" "Find my heartbeat," he said. "It's still here. You'll know where." Then the mirror shattered. The fake Evan screamed, a sound so high and unnatural it pierced through the walls. The lights burst, sparks raining from the ceiling. I ducked, covering my head as glass scattered across the kitchen floor. When I looked up, the house was silent again. The front door swung open, creaking on its hinges. The storm had stopped. Only a thin mist drifted in from outside. My phone buzzed once more. "You have to come to the cliffs, Mom, before he does." I whispered, "The cliffs?" That's where Noah's ashes were scattered. I grabbed my coat and stepped outside. The air was cold and wet, the ground slippery under my boots. In the distance, through the fog, I saw a figure standing near the edge of the cliffs, small, still, and waiting. My heart pounded as I walked toward it. Every step felt heavier, the sound of the sea growing louder, angrier. When I was close enough to see his face, I stopped breathing. It was Noah, older, alive, and real. He smiled softly. "You came." For a long moment, I couldn't move. The figure standing at the edge of the cliffs looked exactly how I'd always imagined he would. 20 years older than the baby I'd lost. His face calm, his eyes filled with light. "Noah," I whispered. He smiled. "I'm sorry I scared you, Mom. I had to reach you before he did." The wind howled around us, carrying the scent of salt and rain. The ocean crashed violently below, the waves glowing faintly under the moon. I took a trembling step forward. "Are you real?" He nodded once. "I don't belong here. Not really. But for a while I found a way through. I followed your voice, your memories, and your grief. That's what kept me alive in between." Tears burned my eyes. "Between what?" "Between you and the dark." Lightning cracked in the distance, illuminating the cliffs for a split second, and in that flash I saw him. The other one, the shadow that had worn Evan's face. It was climbing the rocks below us, dragging itself closer. Its eyes glowed faint blue like broken screens flickering in the night. Noah turned to me, his voice urgent now. "He feeds on what's unfinished, on people who can't let go." I shook my head. "I don't want to lose you again." "You never lost me, Mom," he said softly. "You just never forgave yourself." He reached out a hand. His skin shimmered, fragile, like light breaking through water. "You have to let me go. That's the only way he dies." The shadow pulled itself up onto the cliff edge, a shapeless thing with shifting faces. Evan's, then mine, then Noah's again. It screamed, a sound that made the ground tremble. I grabbed Noah's hand. "If I let you go, what happens to you?" He smiled, tears glistening in his eyes. "I get to rest, and you get to live." The wind rose into a roar, pulling at my hair, my coat, everything. The shadow lunged forward, but Noah's light exploded, bright, blinding, pure. It swallowed the darkness whole. When the light faded, I was alone. The cliffs were empty. The storm had passed. Only silence remained, soft and endless. I looked down. In my hand was his hospital bracelet, warm, glowing faintly, then slowly fading to silver. The phone in my pocket buzzed one last time. "Thank you, Mom." And then nothing. His account disappeared. His messages, his profile, even the video, gone, like he'd never existed at all. I stood there until sunrise, watching the sea turn gold. And for the first time in 20 years, I felt something I thought I never would again. Peace. When I got home, I opened that small wooden box and placed the bracelet inside. Then I whispered, "Goodbye, Noah. I love you." The house was quiet. The air felt warm. I smiled through the tears, and just as I turned off the lights, my phone lit up with a single new notification. It wasn't from Noah. It was from someone else. If you heard her story, don't scroll away. Some souls only find peace when they're remembered. So if you're still listening, take a moment, leave a comment, share her story, because maybe, just maybe, someone out there needs to hear it too.